yes, we've all gone bananas. The GOP's MAGA bananas today. Oh yeah, the GOP's MAGA bananas today. Oh yeah, the GOP's MAGA bananas today.
Press that. Testing. 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 3, 2, 1. Hello, America! See, I blew it out. Hello, America, and welcome again to another edition of Dude's Process. Is it dude or dudes?
I think it's dude process. That's a better pun on due process. We're just a couple of dudes, but we're discussing the process of what is going on with our federal government these days.
That's right. I'm Matt DiGennaro.
And I'm Grady Thrasher, and we're here to discuss.
We're going to discuss. I thought discuss was going to lead to something great. I thought it was going to lead to the first thing.
Yes, we have a president right now who believes that there's no law that he has to follow the process of other than his whims. And the basic fundamental constitutional rights of Americans require due process of law, which means that you have to follow the commandments of the Constitution, which say that you can't just arbitrarily arrest someone or ship someone out of the country.
Right. Throw them in jail.
Or tell a college what it can or cannot teach.
Or tell a college what it cannot teach.
And without due process. In other words, you'd have to have a reason why that what is asked or directed by this authoritarian president and why it is consistent with the law. And there are a lot of things, process that we can discuss. But
to have a democracy, as opposed to authoritarian, I edit all of this stuff.
Yeah,
Welcome to Grady and Matt Mispronounce Words. To have a democracy, as opposed to an authoritarian. So, Grady, to have a democracy as opposed to an authoritarian regime, you need due process.
Well, we have a constitution. And the Constitution is basically the document which defines what due process is and what a government of laws is as compared to a government of people. In other words, the people who run the government have to follow the laws as defined by the Constitution and use the processes defined by the Constitution.
Right.
And that's what due process is. You can't just arrest someone and hold them in jail because you don't like them.
Because you don't like them, yeah.
And that's what authoritarians like to do. Now, our president has a very authoritarian air to him, like he's the president. He doesn't realize that he's a servant of the people.
Right.
He's not the person that directs people in any way that he wishes. He has to follow due process.
Right. He's been elected.
He has been elected.
Yes, to serve the people. That's the role.
To be a servant of the people.
Right. Or at least that's how it was intended.
Right. He's a leader in that he's the number one elected official, and he may want to suggest that the country go in one direction or another with regard to many issues.
Right.
But he can't just direct that. In fact, the only thing that he can clearly direct now is because of the timidity of Congress, is he can place tariffs at will on anything that's imported by the country.
Well, wasn't that supposed to, why doesn't Congress have a say in that?
Congress does have a say, but some time ago, they determined that it was in the best interest of the company, of the country, to give that authority to the president. And all they need to do is take it back. But they.
When did this happen? When did?
I haven't researched that, but it was some time ago.
Really?
And theoretically, there was some kind of trade emergency going on, and so Congress, and this was several years ago, may even be several decades ago, but we can check that out. Said, well, because of the unique nature of tariffs, we'll let the president decide.
Oh, okay. So there was a time when it was actually, you couldn't just do it yourself.
There is a law that says that Congress needs to approve tariffs, except if they agree that the president can make tariff decisions without approval. And they agreed. They voted that they did not need to approve. For now. In
this specific instance, or in overall?
Overall, in general. And so now Congress has been intimidated by Trump, at least the Republicans are, and the Republicans are in control of Congress.
Right.
So Trump has the uncontrolled power to make or erase tariffs at will. And he, of course, likes to say that he's the greatest deal maker in the world.
Right.
So he throws out tariffs, and then he hopefully gets countries to come beg him not to put tariffs on their goods, and then he says, see, I won. So he creates a problem that we didn't have. And then makes it a little bit smaller problem, and then says he's a winner.
That's an interesting philosophy to go through life.
Yeah, I think that is part of...
there was no shit on the floor. I took a shit on the floor.
Right.
And I cleaned it.
Well, cleaned up part of it.
Okay. So there's still a little shit on the floor.
But I'm a winner because I cleaned up.
But did you see I cleaned about 92% of the shit?
Yeah, or maybe 89%.
Or maybe 89%, but there was no shit there to begin with.
But it may be worse than to begin with, because now people say we have a shitty floor and maybe we don't want to do business with them at all.
Before we didn't even have a shitty floor.
Right.
Now we have a shitty floor.
Yeah, that's
America has a shitty floor.
Well, I think America has a shitty leader.
Yeah.
And, we started this thing saying we're going to stick to the truth. We're not going to tell lies.
Right.
So other people may disagree that America doesn't have a shitty leader, but that's my opinion, which is the truth. I believe that.
Your opinion is, it's true that you believe that.
That's right.
We can't prove that he is a shitty leader.
Well, it depends on how you define shitty.
Well, if I would define shitty as in the best interests of, if you're going against the best interests of the country, then I think you can prove that or I guess it's by different people. If you're a person of modest means going shopping and the tariff gets passed on to you, that seems to be unequivocally shitty for me. There seems to be much shit on the floor.
Yes, we might have to go into detail of how the term shitty came about. It's a description, but is it an actual description of excrement or just a negative description of what's going on?
That's a good. Yeah, was it actually full of shit? Was it well, I guess, okay, so it would be shit in general, excrement.
Right.
Oh, God, my day is shitty. My day feels like shit. I'm going to put a Y on it. It's shitty. I feel like that turd looks, is what I guess people did originally. Because I guess it would have to be, I don't know. I'm going to look up the etymology of how people said shitty or it is shitty.
Well, we might ought to move on here.
No, Grady, I think we should continue and actually bring some shit.
One thing that really has concerned me has been the discussions that have occurred online between President Trump and Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes.
Springsteen made, using his freedom of speech, made some comments about Trump, which while Springsteen was performing in England, and Trump was apparently offended.
Yes.
And so Trump has his pet social media thing. What is it? Truth Social.
Truth Social, yeah.
And so he said, don't pay attention to him. Do you know what he said?
He said, I'll get you the quote right here, Grady.
Okay.
I'll move my microphone. Springsteen was in England, and then he said, well, what Springsteen said in England was that one of the things he said was, the America that I love, the America that I've written about, that has been a beacon of hope and liberty for 250 years, is currently in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, and treasonous administration. He didn't really say anything personal about his thing. The next morning, Trump called Springsteen highly overrated. Never liked him, never liked his music or radical left politics. And importantly, he's not a talented guy, just a pushy, obnoxious jerk. This dried out prune of a rocker, his skin is all atrophied, in quotes, ought to keep his mouth shut until he gets back in the country, is what Trump said on
So was Trump implying that when he gets back in the country, he can open his mouth again?
That's a good question. It's almost like a parent telling a child, don't talk about shit unless when you get home, I'm gonna whack you, or some kind of weird shit.
I'm gonna arrest you without due process and send you to a South American prison. Or
definitely, there's definitely a weird implication there. And I just heard yesterday, Springsteen released a digital EP that you can buy, you can listen to on Spotify, of his live performance with his criticisms in there to do that.
And I think he has the right to do it.
Of course.
I'm trying to think of what Trump, he made some comment. He said he was a dried up prune.
He said, Grady, he not only did he not like him, he called him.
This is Trump calling Springsteen.
This is Trump on social media after criticizing Springsteen and saying he doesn't like him, said, this dried out prune of a rocker, and in parentheses, his skin is all atrophied.
Well, that brings up a real issue of skin care, I think, and maybe we should examine that.
Okay.
Because otherwise, we're just talking about one opinion against another opinion.
Right.
But I think we can focus in on skin, and it's self-evident.
You're saying make a comparison between, yes.
Yeah. Here is a close-up of Bruce Springsteen's skin.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure if that doesn't look atrophied.
It doesn't look atrophied. Actually, Springsteen probably takes good care of himself. He goes to the gym.
Yeah. He's not a spring chicken.
He's no spring chicken.
He's a Springsteen, but not a spring. That is what it is, but I don't know that would affect his intellect, even if it was dried up and looked like a prune.
Yeah.
But I think on its face, Trump's opinion is not true, and it's not a valid opinion.
That is true. It's not atrophied.
Yeah. Now, Springsteen has not commented on Trump's skin, but I think Trump has opened himself up to have comments on his skin.
I think once you open that door, yes.
And there are a lot of images of Trump and his skin available. So let's take a look here.
We'll show some of these now. We're showing them.
And here's a close-up. And to me, my opinion, it looks like a navel orange. And then we'll go back a little bit. Wait a minute, that is a navel orange.
Oh,
let's what's the other slide? Which is the actual Trump's face.
Right.
Well, it looks just like the navel orange that we just did. Right. So, if your skin looks like a navel orange,
right,
there's got to be you got to have some caution about talking about other people's skin.
I believe it's like the glass houses, I think.
Yeah, yes, that's a very good point.
Those who have skins like navel oranges shouldn't
should not
peel other atrophy.
Should not eat prunes.
Yeah. But it is funny how he goes from Springsteen never said anything about anybody who criticizes him.
Trump.
Which is funny because he looks like a fucking clown.
Yeah.
Everybody who criticizes him, most people, I mean, a lot of comedians and stuff, are always criticizing his policy. And then he's like, oh, people hate me and stuff. But then he goes right after, oh, you're a fat cow. Nobody likes you. You're a loser. Nobody buys your records anymore. It's not, he never criticizes them on, oh, your intellect or something that you said. He's like a kid.
That's sad.
It is sad. It's our president.
Right. Well, our skincare segment, I guess, has made its point that people with skin that look like a navel orange shouldn't throw windows at glass houses.
I think that's it, Grady. I think you said it so eloquently. People with skin of navel oranges shouldn't throw windows at people who are eating the oranges in the glass houses watching Trump on TV.
Or talk about the skin of rock stars that have won 20 Emmy Awards and sold
Grammys.
200 Grammys. Grammys. And sold more than 200 million records.
It's just and plus it's an art. It's just so so silly.
Yeah.
But that's what we do.
All right. Well, that ends our skincare segment.
All right.
If you wish to give us comments, you can write. Hey Dude. No, it's not Hey Dude. It's the Dude Process.
It's Dude Process. But if we put it on YouTube, they put it on the comments below.
Yeah.
They just type it right in.
Right.
Say, what the fuck is up with this?
We're working on that. So you can write your comments as we speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's going from skincare to education.
Oh, yeah, Greta. What's going on with Harvard we were talking about?
Yeah. Apparently, Trump is really, really upset with any college that seeks to have diversity among their students. Mm-hmm. And they've picked Harvard to dictate what they can or cannot do, and what they can or cannot do by Trump's definition is what I say they can or cannot do. Mm-hmm. So Harvard has said we can do anything that we want to, because we're protected by the Constitution.
Right.
So Trump said, well, I'm saying that you can't spend any federal money unless you do exactly what we want you to do. And on top of that, you can't admit any foreign students.
Right. But that's so fucking weird. What is it?
It's so petty.
You can't admit any foreign students.
Yeah.
Why would I don't even understand that. Because he's against the Department of Inclusion and Equity? Why would you not admit foreign students? Why? I don't even understand the spite behind that.
I think it's just that he's trying to put every kind of financial pressure on Harvard, possibly. The foreign students usually pay more tuition than...
Oh, that's interesting.
It's I'm not sure that's a totally accurate way to put it, but with regard to state institutions...
Right.
If you live in the state, you pay a lower tuition because you're already paying taxes.
Yeah.
Harvard's, of course, a private institution, but if you're out of state, which means that you're in another country or in another state, you pay a higher tuition, and that higher tuition tends to subsidize the in-state people.
Okay.
Whether that has something to do with foreign students at Harvard or whether it's just a spiteful thing that Trump thinks he can get away with because he can tell Harvard to do anything he wants if Harvard wants to get any federal money.
But when did that ever happen? I mean, did that ever happen in that you can think of in history that a president is telling a university that?
I don't think it's ever happened that we've ever had a president like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
We've never had a president whose skin looks like a navel orange.
Well, this is, once again, Grady, let me look. Let's go to that picture and see.
Yeah,
Let's see
yeah.
that.
Let me
Okay.
check. No, that's the navel orange.
Is that his
That's
skin?
Trump.
Okay. I can't tell.
No, it's the other way around.
Wait.
That's Trump's skin, and
I don't
that's
know.
the navel orange.
I will look at it. We'll see. We'll put the words underneath
Okay,
it.
we'll check it at the end of this segment and see if we can remember.
So that is insane, though. So he's just doing that to. Does it seem like he's just do? To me, it seems like there's a kid that went into a plane, and there was all these bright lights and stuff, and he's just like, let me push every fucking button to see what I can do. I just say, oh well, fuck, I'm gonna make. Since Harvard pissed me off, everything seems personal. You know what? Grady cut me off at the 4-way today. Now I'm president of the United States. Fuck him. I'm going to put a tariff on Grady. It seems like that level of petty.
I think petty is a good word.
Yeah.
To apply to his reaction to things. And then he uses his social media thing, like it's passing notes in school.
Right, yeah.
Insults. But anyway, that's the big issue. Should Harvard obey Trump's ever...
That's all right. Take it down.
whim, or do they have rights?
Well, that's a good point.
As an independent education.
Well, they do. I mean, I thought that was obvious.
Now, Trump can come back and say nobody has the right to have the federal government pay you money. In other words, other than Social Security, things that are established.
Right.
What Trump is threatening to do is cut off all other funding of Harvard by the federal government, for research and things like that. He's saying that he has the right to threaten them to cut off all of their funding if they don't do what he says. And so he's adding demands. We're not going to let you have any foreign students. We're not going to let you do anything if you insist on having a diversified student body and stuff like that. And so the question is...
That seems insane.
The question is, with regard to these programs that already exist that the prior administrations have authorized Harvard or other colleges to receive funding to do research and other academic things.
Right.
Can the government just arbitrarily withdraw that funding in order to direct the university in different directions or in different petty ways?
Right. But shouldn't the answer be an obvious no?
It should be to anybody with any intellect and any honesty.
But it has to be written down somewhere, doesn't it? I mean, we're starting to talk about this too, between what's law and ethics. And it seems, it would seem unlawful for a president to do such a thing.
Well, he's saying that he's the authority that represents the federal government. So anything that has to do with money to a university, he can retract it or change it.
Yeah. I think they put a hold on it too this afternoon, but I don't know. I think the Supreme Court said no. You got to just let everything happen for now.
They put a hold on.
You know what? I'm not even going to say. I think they put a hold on that you can't. You have to invite international students. They can still come until we figure the fucking shit out.
Until we've had due process.
Until we've had due process, which is how it used to be. But it seems like that happens a lot, though, too. He says something, and it goes to the courts. The courts say, wait a minute, let's try to figure this shit out.
Well, that's right. The courts are there so that the executive department, or Congress for that matter, do not overstepped their bounds as they are bound by law
Right.
to follow due process in every policy that they decide. The courts are the ultimate determination of that the courts really have more power than the president.
Which is how it was supposed to be.
If the president wants to act illegally or unlawfully or without due process.
Okay. That's how it was supposed to set up, though. That's the three
Right.
branches of government
That's the right
deal.
Right.
Right? The legislative.
Separation of powers.
The separation of powers.
Right.
To keep each other's in check, to keep the president in check.
Right. Yeah, Congress could pass some outrageous law and the president can veto that law.
Right.
The Congress can then, with a supermajority, override the veto.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's still an unconstitutional law,
Right.
the courts can block it from being enforced or can stop the law from going into effect.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court is the final court that decides whether the lower courts' decisions were correct.
Yeah.
So the Supreme Court ultimately determines whether anything done by the government is legal under the Constitution, if it goes that far in the issues. But
they're the final arbiter. They're the final
right.
interpreter of the Constitution.
Yeah, and the laws and procedures. And the concept of due process is that you can't limit someone's freedom
Right.
or without going through a process of where they are charged with something. They're given an opportunity to know what they're charged with, an opportunity to defend the accusation.
Right.
And that's what due process is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's good to know.
Yeah.
But it's something that is in danger of.
that's right. And
being
we,
tested.
as a couple of dudes, are trying to process. What's going on.
What the hell
right
is
now.
going on?
It seems like we've got a president that's really basically nuts.
Right.
And has skin that looks like a navel orange.
But that's just your.
That's just my opinion, of course.
But we have these photos also.
Yeah, and the photos have affected our opinions.
Yeah.
But they are what they are.
They are. You can decide for yourself by looking at the
that's
photos.
right.
You can arrive at your own opinion.
Absolutely.
We are not here to give you or say this. Look at this.
Yeah, you can look and see for yourself. You can disagree with us.
You can disagree. Here's a picture of an orange.
Right.
Here's a picture of Trump's skin.
Right.
Here's a picture of Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
You decide.
Right. Right.
All right, Grady. I think that's it for this episode.
That's it for today. We'll see.
We'll see what's going on
next time. And
all right.
We have Due Process.
Due Process. Thank you, Grady Thrasher.
Thank you, Matt DeGennaro.
The GOP's MAGA bananas today. Oh yeah, the GOP's MAGA bananas today.